says, you need to write a manual or a book on how to date. These guys, they don't know what to do to make it entertaining for us. And it gets boring really fast. A lot of them they just want to go have a cheap dinner and come home and have sex. Well, I mean, there's times I like that too, but for the most part, I like doing things. I like going to comedy shows and festivals and concerts and hikes and day trips and, staycations. Those are a lot of fun. Experiencing the local resorts. Just be fun and be social. Give her those experiences. She'll definitely remember those.
Welcome to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Here's your host, Marcus.
Welcome to another episode of Secrets of a Sugar Daddy, the number one sugar dating podcast in the world, where we pull back the curtains on the good and the bad and the shocking stories of sugar dating. Now, I don't know how many shocking stories I'm going to have today, but we're going to go over some really solid things. And this is some real life situations. What we're going to talk about is actually three things. And it happens all the time. What happens when you lose respect from your sugar baby? Why does it happen? And how do you get it back? And then what happens also if maybe you've jumped the gun a little bit, you've put them on an allowance, and you're like, oh, maybe that was a little too soon, a little too ambitious, and you want to pull back. You still want to see them. You want to put them back on or just put them on a PPM to make it a little easier on both of you. And then if none of that works, how to end it with your sugar baby. Maybe end it with kind of open-ended, because sometimes when people part, they start missing each other and they want to try it again. Or how just to end it gracefully. Okay, so we're going to go over those three subjects today. But before we do, really quick, the party is happening, Sugarpalooza 7, November 14th through 16th. It's going to be a hell of a weekend. You're going to have the time of your life. Sponsors, get in touch with me at info@secretsofasugardaddy.com. Lily will get you all the information on becoming a sponsor. It's pretty much the same as the last one. And then, hey, sugar babies or just women, whatever. If you want to be a part of this and you want a weekend fully paid for by the sponsors, that includes housing, 3 days, 2 nights of housing. Most of you will get your own room you all get your own room, and most of you will get your own bathroom. You'll get a mixer on Friday night. That's going to be a lot of fun. We're planning that having at Jay's new multi-million-dollar 4,200 square foot house that he just bought. It's going to be a fabulous time. That's going to be a great party venue, a little bit of a change. And then Saturday night, we're going to have a pre-party. Party bus will take us to and from the arena, where we have 2 private suites to see Bryan Adams and Pat Benatar. And there are some great old 80s artists that have so many sing-along songs, and the crowd's just going to have such a good energy. You're going to be a part of that. And even if you're not into that, it's just still fun to party in the party suite, right? Party bus home, after party, and then on Sunday we'll have a brunch that we can kind of relax, maybe hang by the pool. I know it's in the middle of November, but yeah, it's still pool season. The pools are heated. And, if you want to still get some sun and just hang out, it's going to be beautiful, beautiful weather in Arizona in mid-November. That is like prime, that's a prime part of the calendar for us. So you're really going to enjoy your trip here. So get those applications in. They are live now at our website, secretsofasugardaddy.com. Just click on the party tab. It'll have all the information I just told you, and it's just fill out. It's a little questionnaire type of a application. Send in a video of why we should pick you, and tell us a little bit about maybe a favorite episode or two that you've heard from our podcast. The nice thing is I get from the survey is one of the questions is, what are some of the topics you'd like to hear on future episodes? And we really do value that feedback, and we take a lot of that and implement it into the show. I mean, we try to cover all the aspects of sugar dating, and it's it's a very wide range of topics that we can get into and dive really deep into. It's a complex world. It can seem simple, but we humans, we make it complex, and we like to try to focus in on some of those situations that you might be encountering in the sugar lifestyle. So we do value those feedback forms that are there when you fill out the application. All right. And then if you're a Patreon member, you're going to get priority judging when it comes to selection, and it's free. I mean, if you can't afford the $10 a month, I get it. Sometimes expenses are tight and you're counting every penny, but at least sign up for the free option. It costs you nothing. People that aren't members of the Patreon usually don't get picked for the party, just saying, right? So it's free, it costs you nothing still. And then you're going to be valued a little higher on the tier if you sign up for one of the subscriptions. It starts as little as $10 a month. And then we also have some coaching and profile reviews available at the higher tiers. Lily is still here. She's still behind the scenes. She's doing a lot of hard work getting ready for the party. You're going to love seeing her, and for some of you, reuniting with her and Trucker and the whole family. We're going to have a lot of the past members and crew of Secrets of a Sugar Daddy podcast there at the party, and it's just going to be a great time. A celebration of this lifestyle. It's not a big swinger party. Some people get the wrong idea. They don't know what they expect. It's just a big weekend-long celebration of everybody enjoying each other and making friends for life. Okay, let's get to some of the issues. I guess before we get to those, let me tell you a little bit about a podcast that I am actually going to be on. A couple of them. I'm going to tease you on two of them. So last Thursday, I was recording a podcast I was being interviewed on a podcast from Australia, which now, looking at the numbers, Australia has taken over United Kingdom as our second most popular area that listens to us. UK is now third, and then Canada, and then it goes down from there. But we have a huge listenership in Australia, and there's a dating coach who wanted to interview me, and we were right in the middle of the interview. Man, I'm spitting out fire, all this great stuff that we've learned about sugar dating and why it works for some and why it doesn't work for others, and lessons I've learned, and all this great things that we talk about on the podcast every week. And I'm spitting it out to this guy. We're having such a good conversation, and then boom, crash, a storm comes in, knocks out all of my electricity. So I'm doing this from home, and now all of a sudden lost contact with him, went dead. I ended up calling him on my phone going, I am so sorry. We haven't had a storm this bad in Arizona in years, and all of a sudden we get one, and it's right during the middle of podcast. So we're going to try again tonight. So wish me luck. I don't see any storms on the horizon for tonight. So hopefully we'll get that interview completed. It's going to be a good one. He's really a fun guy to talk to, and it's going to be a nice back and forth conversation about sugar dating and the sugar lifestyle on an Australian podcast. And we'll put a link to it on our Patreon. You definitely want to check that out once it releases. And next week, and I know if you're listening to this years down the road, it doesn't mean much to you, but the next episode, I am actually doing a double recording. Well, I'm going to be on somebody's podcast, and then they're going to be on mine. It's a girl who goes to ASU, and I think she's only 19, but we have a lot to discuss because her podcast is called The After Party Files, and we're going to get to kind of know her a little better. She's also a country music singer. I've listened to her song. She recorded a song like 2 or 3 years ago. I saw it on YouTube. It's actually fantastic. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. The first hour, I believe, I'm going to be on her show, and then the second hour, she's going to be on my show. So that actually will be next week's episode. So tune in to hear all about that. All right, now that I've told you a little bit about what's going on behind the scenes, let's get to some issues. Now, there comes a point, I've been doing this sugar dating stuff now for well over 9 years. Met a lot of great people, met some not so great people. I've had relationships come and go. I value all of them. They're all very special to me in different ways. Some have taught me lessons, I'll tell you that. Others have made me rethink what I'm doing, and I'm sure if you've been doing it a lot, you have got to that point too. But sometimes you really dig somebody. Like you're attracted to them, not only physically, but mentally. You get a little bit enamored with them. And then all of a sudden, things start blowing up a little bit. Things start faltering. And a lot of times, us males, maybe we try to push ourselves into their lives. Maybe we try to remind them, hey, I'm the one with the money. You need to respect me, or you need to do what I tell you to do. And not such harsh words, but in subtle hints. Or I'm going to cut you off or whatever, right? Because we're sitting here trying to control them because we think we're wealthy and successful and they need to do that. No, that's not everybody. I'm just saying for some. And I'm not talking about anybody in general. I'm just talking about situations that I come across and things that I've been a part of where all of a sudden now that person that you're pretty enamored with, they have lost respect for you. And you feel it, and you don't know how to regain it. And the harder you try, the worse it's going to get. So what I'm going to talk about is what happens, what to do when that happens. Because regaining respect from a sugar baby, or really anyone in a close relationship that mixes intimacy and transactional dynamics, takes a mix of self-awareness, boundary setting, and consistent follow-through. So here are some angles that you can work on. I mean, first of all, you've got to reflect on what caused the loss of respect. I mean, did you break a promise? That happens a lot. Were your boundaries unclear? And boy, that is a really tough one too, because a lot of times we kind of play this by ear. We don't want to set some boundaries because we're afraid we're going to offend somebody, or we just don't know how they're going to take it. So a lot of times the boundaries are unclear. Or did you allow disrespectful behavior without correcting it? Sometimes I remember I was at a restaurant and this girl was really rude to the waiter. And it was our first meet and greet, and I didn't really say anything to her about it. I just kind of hoped that things were going to get better. But now looking back on it, I probably should have said something right up front about, hey, do not be rude to the staff. They're working hard. And I used to be in the restaurant business and I wouldn't appreciate it. So let's try that again. Let's be nice to the staff. We've got time. And let's just enjoy the evening, okay? Understanding the exact point where things shifted gives you leverage to address it head on. So how do we reestablish boundaries and standards? Well, respect comes from clarity. If she feels she can push boundaries without consequence, she'll stop valuing them. It's just like a child. They're going to test your boundaries, and if they don't get in trouble for doing what they're doing, they're going to keep pushing and keep doing that. So if you don't have boundaries, they're not going to value them. Calmly but firmly communicate what you expect in terms of communication, honesty, or time commitments. And then back it up with consistency. Respect isn't demanded, it's earned by holding your line. So you have to balance generosity with authority. So this is another key to getting the respect back. A lot of the sugar daddies lose respect when they slide into ATM mode. If every interaction is just about handing out money with no balance of leadership, attention, or emotional presence, respect dwindles. Show that you're generous, but not desperate. Sometimes pulling back slightly, like spacing out your gifts or being less immediately available, resets the dynamic. I've always said the quickest way to get her attention is to remove yours. It may not happen as quick as you want it to, but it'll happen. They will notice. So, again, the quickest way to get their attention is to remove yours.
You're listening to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Now back to the show with your host, Marcus.
Okay, another way to get your respect back is to lead with confidence. Sugar babies respect confidence and decisiveness. If you waffle, over-apologize, or let insecurity show too much, the dynamics flip, as you can imagine. You have to stay grounded with them. Keep your tone positive but firm. So, for example, instead of, I feel like you don't appreciate me, which I have actually said those exact words, try this. Respect and appreciation are important to me, and without them, this arrangement doesn't work. Another way to get your respect back is to invest in the non-financial value of this relationship. Be fun, be social, be connected. Give her experiences she can't get elsewhere. I'll tell you, that is one thing that I believe is why so many of my sugar babies reach out after a while. Maybe we've split up, maybe we've gone our separate ways, and the guys just aren't giving them those experiences that they were having with you. I know Madison, my 2.5-year relationship before I started the podcast, when we broke up and then we kind of started talking again, she says, you need to write a manual or a book on how to date these guys. They don't know what to do to make it entertaining for us, and it gets boring really fast. A lot of them they just want to go have a cheap dinner and come home and have sex. Well, I mean, there's times I like that too, but for the most part, I like doing things. I like going to comedy shows and festivals and concerts and hikes and day trips and, staycations. Those are a lot of fun. Experiencing the local resorts. Just be fun and be social. Give her those experiences. She'll definitely remember those. Bring in your wisdom, your mentorship, introductions, and adventure. When she sees you as more than just a wallet, respect deepens naturally, okay? And then finally, use action, not just words. Like, you can tell her all day long what you're going to do, but until you do it, it doesn't mean much, right? Girls have been lied to so much and promised things so much that they're a little jaded. So action speaks louder than words. We've heard that old phrase a lot. If she disrespects you, don't argue. Just adjust your behavior. Respect grows when someone sees you mean what you say. Sometimes that means walking away. Nothing regains respect faster than showing you will not tolerate being taken for granted. So, how do you convey some of these things that I just talked about to them? I'm going to give you 5 different versions. I should put these on Patreon. Maybe I will, but and maybe you can stop and rewind this and write this down if you like some of these. But here are 5 different ways that you can message them to try to get your point across about resetting the respect that you feel like you deserve, right? So the first option is the calm and firm reset method. So when she's been dismissive or flaky or taking you for granted, you could write something like, hey, I enjoy spending time with you, but I need to be clear. Respect is important to me. If I don't feel that, this won't work. I'm generous and fun, but I won't continue if I'm not appreciated. The second one would be more of a confident and playful message. That's when you want to lighten the mood, but still draw the line. I spoil women who treat me well. It's simple. Respect keeps the fun going. Lack of it shuts it down. I'd rather invest my time in someone who values what I bring. A third one is more of a kind of a high value and detached message, like when she's testing the boundaries or acting entitled. You could say something like, I have options and I choose to spend time with women who bring positivity and respect into my life. If that's not you, that's okay. Just let me know and we'll both move on. Or another one where you're trying to reestablish control in person. When things have slipped into her setting the rules, you could say, hey, I like when we're both enjoying this, but I'm going to set the tone moving forward. If we're on the same page, it'll be amazing. If not, no hard feelings. I know my worth. And then finally, here's a more polished and direct way to say when you want to be mature and straight up. This arrangement works only if we respect each other. I've noticed some things lately that don't feel right. If that continues, I'll have to step back. If you want this to last, let's reset now. So here's the key. All right, you don't want to over-explain, don't get emotional, and you don't want to beg for respect. You just calmly show you're willing to walk if things don't improve. That alone shifts the dynamic back in your favor. All right, so that is a few pointers on maybe how to reset the whole respect issue. That's granted, that's assuming that you want to go that direction. You still want things to work out. Not 100% guaranteed, but I can promise you it's better than most everything you've been doing now if you've lost respect and you have no idea on how to get it back. Now, what if you've rushed into this relationship, or maybe you haven't? Maybe you were on PPM and then you put them on allowance and you decided, I don't think the allowance part's going to be working well, because we've talked about a lot in the past, but here's the problem with allowance, and here's why I don't like it. Now, I have Alejandra on allowance. We're over 3 years into this relationship. She has proven herself. She deserves it. I have no issue with it. In the past, I put somebody quickly on a monthly allowance, and it blew up in my face. Like, I paid for a couple months. The first month was fine. The second month, I paid, and then like a week into it, she ended things. And then I did not see a dime of that money back. I didn't expect to, and I would have told her don't worry about it if she would have offered, but she didn't even offer, which kind of really soured the whole thing. Now, is that going to be like every situation? No, but I can't tell you how many times I've heard that once you put them on allowance, let's say you give them $5,000 a month, they lose their motivation to see you consistently. They've already got the money, so now you're asking them to perform or to work or whatever it is, right? Or to show up, and they just have less motivation to do it because they already have the money. That's like, we've used the example, let's say you're making $75,000 a year at a job and they give you that $75,000 in January. How motivated are you going to be to come to work in July and August and certainly September and October? Like, you just lose the motivation. But if you are being paid $6,000 a month and you only get it monthly, then you will show up pretty much every month. But let's break that down. If you get $1,500 a week, and then if you don't show up the next week, you don't get the $1,500, you have a lot of motivation to keep showing up week after week after week. So there's a lot of inherent issues on doing an allowance. I actually don't mind a weekly allowance because then you're not into it too much, and that person is motivated to keep showing up week after week. Just the monthly allowance is hard for me. And I think it's just hard for most everybody, unless you've got some deep history and some consistency with that person. But we still have situations where sugar daddies will put their sugar baby on a monthly allowance and then things go awry. Maybe they just didn't know him that well. Maybe that sugar baby situation has changed. Maybe the sugar daddy situation has changed. How do you talk to them about resetting it back to what is more common as a PPM and more motivating for everybody? So I'm going to go over some ways that you can do that. The switch back is a very sensitive subject because it changes the perceived stability of the relationship. You'll want to deliver it in a way that keeps your high value. She shouldn't think that you're pulling back out of weakness. It frames paper meat as freedom plus flexibility for both of you. So you've got to make sure that she understands that. And it presents it as a natural upgrade or reset rather than a downgrade. So you don't want them feeling like they got a downgrade. I know when Alejandra and I started going out, let's say I was giving her $500 on meat, okay? And my budget only allowed for, let's say, 2 meats a week. Well, that was giving her $1,000 a week. But if I wanted to see her for 3 or 4, she started doing the math, and she's like, yeah, that'll actually work. I'll see you 3-4 times a week at $500 PPM. So she was very motivated, and it would actually benefit her more if she went onto a PPM. I've got her on allowance now, and we see each other a lot more than 2 or 3 times a week. Matter of fact, sometimes it's 7 days a week. So for me, per meat, that works out in my favor, but she's happy with it because of the consistency. So you can work back into that, but you got to kind of frame it in a way to let them know, hey, this PPM actually might be more financially beneficial to you. So here's some way that you can kind of frame it. Arrangement equals obligation, right? So tied down, predictable feels like work. PPM is choice and excitement, spontaneous, fun, rewarding each time. So always emphasize mutual benefit. Like, hey, it's less pressure, more flexible, more fun to do a PPM. Position it as you giving her more freedom instead of you pulling it back, right? So I'll just give you some word-for-word scripts that you can use. Again, I've got 4 of those, and if you like them, feel free to take those. So here's a smooth and positive way that you could frame it. Hey, I've been thinking, I want to make things more fun and flexible for both of us. Instead of locking into a set arrangement, let's do PPM. That way there's no pressure, and every time we see each other is something we both choose and enjoy. I like it. It's very smooth, positive. Here's a response that might be considered high value and no nonsense. I've decided I'd rather keep things on a PPM basis moving forward. It keeps it light, fun, and fair every time we meet. If that works for you, great. If not, I totally understand. Okay? So you take the ball, you throw it in their court, and wait for them to throw it back. Okay? Maybe a playful spin on that wording would be, you know me, I like keeping things exciting. Instead of structured arrangement, let's just do PPM. That way it's simple, good time equals good vibes equals good reward. And finally, maybe an honest reset if she's been slipping. You could say, the arrangement isn't really working the way I expected. I'd like to switch to PPM. That way it's straightforward and we both know what to expect each time. So here's the key on this one. Say it once, say it confidently, and then let her decide. Don't over-explain or negotiate because this kills your value.
You're listening to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Now back to the show with your host, Marcus.
All right, and finally, if things just aren't working out and Sometimes they don't. Matter of fact, most of the time they don't. Okay. Here's some great ways to end it and move on. And I hate to say this, but most all relationships eventually come to an end. Actually, they do. Even marriages come to an end. 50, 60-year marriages come to an end because one partner passes away and that person is left alone. But if you have to end it before death, which is most everybody in their life, it's very, very rare that somebody doesn't go through this. It's a common thing that either they're going to end it with you or you're going to end it with them. And it's not always easy, so let's talk about it. Sometimes the cleanest move is just to end it with class. And that is key. Be classy and keep your dignity intact. Here's how to do it without drama while keeping the door open if you ever want. So this is kind of a little open-ended. We're going to give you some, you're not going to cut it off. I never want to see you again. You're going to end it and then just, kind of leave it open and see where things go. Because a lot of times relationships do reform. People come back into your life. We joke about that a lot. I'll get a message from somebody I haven't heard from in 3 or 5 years. And I'm like, oh, interesting. And then we say to ourselves, wow, why do they keep coming back? Well, I know why they keep coming back. And it's because of a lot of the things I explained to you earlier about providing them experiences and more value than just money. And they start thinking about that and they kind of maybe forget on why the relationship didn't work, and they start remembering the good things versus the bad things, okay? So here are a few principles for ending it smoothly. Be direct, not harsh. Do not ghost them. I know it's easy to do these days, and I can't tell you how many times I've been ghosted, and it sucks. I had this relationship with this girl. I really liked her, too. It was right before I met Alejandra, and we had been dating a month. Had great dates. We would go out to dinner. We'd go do something. We went to some concerts and comedy shows. Come home, have wonderful sex. It was amazing. And it was just such a good combination, and I really, really enjoyed her. Well, all of a sudden, she got a little distant with me on one date and a little snappy. And after that, she was supposed to fly. I'd already bought her a ticket. She was supposed to fly and come meet me in Vegas because I had a trip to Vegas planned, and she was going to come join me. I never heard from her again. She just ghosted me. Didn't catch the flight. Didn't say anything. I messaged her a few times. Showed red. She never answered. It really sucked. So don't be that person, okay? Men or women. A short, confident message shows that you're in control, and keep it respectful. Even if she was disrespectful, you leave on a high note. And you can close the door without slamming it. You never know if she'll circle back later. Don't burn the bridge. I've burned the bridges with a few of them, and I was just absolutely done and never really want to hear from them again. But try not to burn any bridges. I promise you, it's a weird world sometimes, and people will just come back into your life, and maybe they've learned, maybe they're a better person, maybe they're just not even the same immature self that they were. You just never know. I'm not the same person I was when I was 22. Matter of fact, when I was 30, I wasn't the same person when I was 22. At 40, I wasn't the same person I was at 30. I'm telling you, in most ways. But if you get my friends together, like at a class reunion, if you get us all together, we do act like 12-year-olds all over again. But for the most part, people do mature. They learn. They understand their emotions a lot better as they get older. And I'm saying for the most part. And then shift focus. Frame it as wanting something different for yourself. It's not her fault. Okay, that's how you would frame the ending. So here's a few options on how to end it. I'm going to give you some sample scripts, 3 of them. This one is more simple and respectful. I think it's best we go our separate ways. I've enjoyed our time, but I'm looking for something that's a better fit. I wish you nothing but the best. Okay? Wraps it right up. Here's one that's a little bit more confident and final. I feel like our arrangement isn't lining up the way I want it to. No hard feelings, but I'm going to move on. Take care of yourself. Okay? It's going to hurt him a little bit for the most part, but you're not ghosting him. You're being respectful, and you're giving them hopefully something that they can have a little closure with. And then here's the third option, being polite but firm. You could say, I've appreciated the time we've shared, but I think it's time to end things here. I'm looking for a different vibe, and I don't want to waste either of our time. Best wishes. So after you send that, don't engage in a back and forth, no debating, no explaining. Just let it stand. That calm finality actually earns more respect in the long run. All right, so if none of those work, let me give you a little bit a more sexier teasing version, okay? Still ends things, but keeps your mystique strong in case she tries to come back later. So here's 3 sexier teasing exit lines. Here's a kind of a playful one. I think our chapter's closing for now. You're fun, but I'm looking for something with a little more spark. Who knows? Maybe our paths cross again. Until then, stay sexy. Here's a confident and teasing option. Hey, you've got a lot going for you, but I'm after a different vibe. I'll let someone else enjoy your energy for now, but don't be surprised if you catch yourself missing me. And finally, maybe a smooth and mysterious option you could try. Hey, I've decided to move on and explore something new. You're a beautiful distraction, but I need more than that. Take care, and don't be shocked if I pop back into your thoughts later. Just keep it light, flirty, leave her wondering. If she ever circles back, the respect will already be restored because you ended things on your terms. All right. There you go. I think we covered some very important topics. I had a guest scheduled today. She couldn't make it. Hopefully get her back on the calendar. But I like doing these as we can really focus in, dive in deep into real life situations that come up and maybe explore those on a level that I don't normally get to. A lot of times I like doing these on Extra Sugars, but guys, I'd like to do more of those, but I am so busy. I don't profit from this podcast. I mean, every dollar helps to cover expenses, and I really appreciate all of our fans that join our Patreon, and it really does help. I still pay Lily behind the scenes. We still have studio cost. We have so many things, website cost. Jeez, I just got my bill for the website for the year, and it's a lot more expensive than I remembered it being. All the Patreon money goes into these expenses, so I don't have so much time to dive into this. Maybe later, maybe if we can strike a deal with some network, which we have talked to a few of them, but nothing ever came through with those guys. They really liked the idea of taking this to the screen, but it's still taboo. I don't know. It's weird. You see all these things on TV, and you're just some shocking things, but for some reason, age gap relationships, sugar daddy, sugar baby relationships are still a little too taboo for advertisers. Not all advertisers, but, they've got to sell the show, and that's the problem that they're having, I believe. So anyway, my point is I would love to make more of these where we dive really deep into some of these subjects that we encounter during our sugar dating, because they come up and they're important that we understand those. If you catch yourself in a bind, you don't remember what I said, you don't have time to go through this, and type your feelings into YouTube, you'll be surprised at all the good information that comes up. ChatGPT is another great source. Basically, they've fed so much data into those supercomputers now that they are super wise. They give great information. It's not 100% accurate, and I can't guarantee you 100% reliability on everything, but from what I've seen, I have really started using those resources to not only make myself wiser, but also to help me through these situations that maybe I haven't encountered in a while. Maybe I've encountered them in the past, and I didn't do well with those, and now I have at least have the opportunity to make a situation better instead of worse, because trying to do it on our own is sometimes tough. Our emotions get involved, and we say things and we do things, and then we look back on and go, well, that was really stupid, and now I understand why she ran for the hills. Okay, hope to see you guys at our next Sugar Palooza 7. Applications are open. Go apply now. We've still got room. We've got 50 tickets to this concert, giving away 30 of those to the Sugar Babies. Everything is included except your transportation here. So let's party in Scottsdale, Arizona in November 2025. If you are listening to this at a later time, look at our website for future Sugar Paloozas. They are the party of the weekend. I'm telling you, you'll have so much fun. And then we'd love for you to become a member of our Patreon. It's like family there. You'll get to know each other. Great advice is being given, and there's lots of good stuff there too. Okay, until next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like to connect or even be on the show, we'd love to hear from you at secretsofasugardaddy.com.